those business hours of this is when I have to do stuff, and then it like kicks you into actually getting it accomplished.
Yes, I work so much better under pressure. And I also joke with my couples because I used to work in an emergency room. So I'm like, unless somebody's like on the floor dying, we're fine. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And even so, I can take care
and
of
even
it. That's
and
cool.
even so, like we'll be okay. You'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be all right. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Wisdom and the Tangents podcast. I am your host, John Mansfield. Today, my guest is Alex McCrary. We get into all things about running a business on your own, being a stay-at-home parent, and like going from small business to like sole income for your family in this podcast. Plus, we go down a ton of tangents, as always on this show. But yeah, Alex is great. She's an Iowa-based wedding photographer and also the co-host of the Cameras in Carseats podcast, which you should definitely check out after this episode. Of course, stick around here, listen to us chat, and then go listen to Alex and Jamie after that. But yeah, let's get into my conversation with Alex McCrary. Alex, welcome to the show. I'm excited to chat with you. I was trying to go back and find where we met because we've been like online friends for years. And
I'm trying to remember what it was from. Also, my apologies. My husband just took the kids to school since they had a 2-hour delay, and he put our dog in. We have a puppy, and he put her in the kennel, and so I think she's starting to calm down. But
that's cool. We can get some puppy noises in the back. No, no big deal.
Gosh. But yeah, so I'm trying to remember. I feel like we were in some sort of mutual group at some point where we met because I feel like it was like years ago.
Yeah, I think it was back in the Clubhouse days.
That's what it was.
Okay.
Yep, it was definitely Clubhouse.
Can you give us a little background? I know, like, for the listeners, I just did a whole intro and everything before we started talking, but could you give us a little info about where you are, where you're based, and what you do?
Yeah. So my name is Alex. I am a Midwest-based wedding photographer, and I am based in Iowa, but I travel. I kind of make my own little triangle because I'm in Northeast Iowa, so it takes me the same distance to get to Des Moines as it does to like Minneapolis, and so I kind of make a little triangle with Minnesota and Wisconsin and Iowa, so kind of up in that corner. But yeah, I started my business back at the end of 2018 is when I made my business like legit. And that's when I first started like shooting anything and everything. Also, my dog should stop soon. I'm so sorry.
Totally cool. Totally cool. We got 2 guests on today. Your dog's just like, yeah, Alex, do it. You're podcasting. Let's go.
I'm like, goodness gracious. It's always something, I swear. But so I started back in 2018 and I had 2 weddings that year and was also just kind of shooting any and everything to kind of figure out what I love to do. And then after that, the next year I booked 12 weddings and then it was 20 and then it just kind of escalated at that point. And I love it.
Nice. Yeah. That is a fun way of just like how it escalates and just like you're just doing it and it's like, this is fun. I'm going to continue doing this. And I think that's like, we need to do that. I once you get to a certain point, it can stop becoming fun and it can become like work. Like, you know, especially for anyone who maybe isn't quite like a born entrepreneur of just like always wanting to be like I remember being like 6 or 7 years old and thinking like, oh, I can start this business where I sell these things, or like my 6-year-old right now, almost every day, any day that it's like nice outside, she will go into the garage, she'll get a bunch of like those individual bags of like Doritos and stuff and put them in a basket, and she'll get some of her Halloween candy that's left over and some Capri Suns and just go down to the sidewalk with a sign that says candy for sale. And it's like, yeah,
That
this is like
so cute.
She is an entrepreneur. That is like born entrepreneurship. And there are a lot of people that are not. And I think that the people that are not, who are just like, I do want to have the the freedom and flexibility of my own business, and this is fun. But like once it becomes a job, it loses that fun part of it, and becomes just kind of like draining and overwhelming, and just like the burnout starts to set in. It's like, I have another photo shoot. Okay, I'm just like, I got to gear myself up to go do it. When before it was like, I have another photo shoot. This is going to be so much fun. I can't wait to do this. I just bought this new lens or whatever. And it's just like that like giddy feeling that kind of goes away. And I know like a lot of what we're going to be talking about today will hopefully build that back up for anyone who's kind of feeling that and like, yeah, that is where I am. This used to be fun, but now it's kind of hard.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely felt that last like this last summer. So back in 2020, my husband decided to quit his job because so he used to be a loss prevention supervisor at a department store, and so after that, like COVID changed his whole job position. He couldn't do things the same way. It kind of like sucked the joy out of it. And so I had hit a point where I was booking more weddings, and we were like, well, why don't you just not go back? Like we'll figure it out. And so he didn't. And then we actually, like 6 months after that, opened up a coffee shop. And so he kind of did all that with like the roasting and all of that stuff. And then we actually just sold our coffee shop a few weeks ago.
Okay, I was going to ask, do you still have the coffee shop? Because that's one of my dreams. I have always wanted to start a coffee shop. I've never worked in one, so maybe I should go like be a barista first, and then be like, is this actually what I want?
There are things about it that I really enjoyed. So we opened it up in a small town that I'm from that has like maybe 2,000 people in it. But if you're like familiar with Iowa, it's right outside Waterloo, so it's a busy-ish area off a highway.
Yeah.
And so like
photographed a wedding in Waterloo like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah. So Denver is where I grew up, and that was like, it's like 15-ish minutes north of Waterloo. And so that's where our shop was. And we just a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, we actually sold it so that we could focus on, I could focus more on photography, and then he could do just the roasting. So now he just roasts, and he loves that, because that's the part about the whole coffee thing that he loved.
Yeah,
I enjoyed making the coffee and like building the connections with the customers, but the overall like making sure things are in stock, making sure you're constantly coming up with new ideas. Like, I'm a creative person, but I also realize like, no, I'd rather be spending this time, like this creative outlet, doing my own thing, like putting that into my own business. And so yeah, we sorry, I forgot what the original question even was. I just started rambling.
I also don't remember, but I wanted to talk about like that, like y'all selling it and everything, because that's a big thing. Of like, I would feel like this is my baby. I've just created this coffee shop. I don't want to sell it because, like, one, does that look like we failed? Does it look like, we started this thing, and then what are other people going to look like? This is just like where my brain naturally goes, which I'm trying to like rewire it. So I don't
That's so
here.
funny, because that's the exact mind frame that my husband had. He was like, well, we can't sell it. Like, we started it, and if we sell it, it looks like we failed. And like, but granted, I told him multiple times, I was like, I have to be a little bit more empathetic to that, because for me, I had my photography to fall back on. So I was like, oh, it's not like we failed. It just wasn't right for us. We can just move on from it. But for him, like, that would be like somebody saying that to me about my photography business. So I know that he struggled with that a lot, but at least having like the roasting to fall back on really helped. But for us, I was like, you know what? We can look at this too as like, we still did well. We still like sold it. It's still running. Like, and we started that. Like, that's cool. And now if we ever want to do something like that in the future, like, we have the knowledge and experience to take that with us wherever we choose to do. And then, so last summer, I kind of hit burnout, because being sole income at that point, like, a lot of the money we made from the coffee shop, we reinvested back into the business. So we weren't really like profiting on that per se. And so,
as you do in the first, few years of a business,
right?
It's like, pour everything back in. I will make pennies, but we're going to grow this thing.
Yeah. And we had it for 3 years, a little over 3 years. Yeah. And it was kind of at that point where we're like, okay, so we put in the hard work, and now watch it start to like really take off.
Right.
But at that point, I had I hit that burnout because I had to pay bills, right? And things got slower, and like the economy and like the times, like everything was changing, and I felt that pressure where I was like, okay, I'm not working anymore because I love to work. I'm working like out of a fear of not being able to pay my bills. And so I really had hit that burnout. And then once I just like really dove in and changed things, I actually went from like no, I think I had 2 weddings for 2025 in July, and by December I now have like 25. So I ended up having to be like, okay, I'm either going to make this work or I have to quit. And so I just like went full send. And now I love it again. Like I finally hit that point, I think, when we are struggling, and it really sucks the joy out of it. And so once you find something that works for you and you can start like implementing all those things and it starts working for you again, you really find that joy.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that is kind of the roller coaster of owning a business, especially like if like you and your spouse are like, fluctuating jobs and stuff. Like my I started my photography business like 3 months after my wife and I got married, and it was just like a side gig for about a year and a half or so until I went full time. And then like I could only, once we started having kids, I could only work so much because it was also like we're co-parenting. This is not like a one parent kind of does everything and the other one's just like, I brought home bacon. But like, we would just go back and forth, and like we have 3 kids, so every time like we were having a kid, I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go like full send on this business and just like booking everything, not even like the like discernment of like, this probably isn't the right couple for me, but it was just like, hey, this is another booking, I'm gonna go ahead and do it, because that scarcity and that fear of what if we get to September and then I have like no weddings booked. Like I'm gonna go
Right.
ahead and book this one just so it's there, and I know that I'll at least make a little bit. It may not
Mm-hmm.
be what I want, but I'll do that.
Yeah.
And like that sent me into really hard burnout, because I would get up to that point where I either booked something at a discounted rate or I lowered my prices so that I would book more and like bring in the deposit revenue at the time that we needed it. And then once I get to the wedding, I'm like, I'm barely making anything now.
Yes. Yeah, that is
And
such a struggle. And I had to start doing that again like last summer when I wasn't booking anything. I was like, okay, I do need like some bookings to pay the bills. And so I had
mhm.
cut back a little bit on my pricing. But I did the thing where I was like, okay, I booked a few at that pricing. Now I'm going to raise a little bit. And then I
Yep.
booked a few more at that pricing and I raised a little bit. And now I'm booking weddings where I want to be booking them. But it definitely helps like mentally to kind of be like, okay, now I don't have to work under the stress of making sure my bills are paid. Now we can
Mhm.
work back to where we want to be. Um, but yeah, it definitely is a it's hard. Like I never was one of those people that thought that I would own my own business. I kind of fell into it and then realized, oh, okay, this is something I love doing, and now I can't like shut that entrepreneur brain off.
Yeah.
And one thing I love about my husband like quitting his job and also starting a coffee shop was then he also turned into that. He's like, I will never work for anybody ever again. And so
Once you get the
now,
taste, it's
yeah,
either you love it, this is forever, or no, this isn't for me. Like my wife
yeah,
did that for a little bit where she worked like with me in the business, and she was like, I don't enjoy this. Like it's great working together. This is fun, but I really thrive in a 9 to 5 show up. I can like turn off work brain at 5 o'clock and go home. And being an entrepreneur, a lot of times I'm just like, all day, every day,
uh
something
huh,
happens. I'm like, oh, I need to write this down because like I want to
yep.
do this for my business.
That is the hardest part. Is it's like a something I love is I'm constantly thinking about work and ideas, but also something that's really difficult because
Mhm.
I'll be laying in bed at 10 p.m. staring at the ceiling and I'm like, okay, but what if I tried this?
Yeah.
But what if I did this? And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, actually maybe just stop. Like sleep. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
And so one thing I learned also going from like being slower to busier again was boundaries. Like I really implemented boundaries, especially being a mom. I have 3 kids. I have 3 daughters. They're 8, 6, and our youngest will be 2 tomorrow.
Nice. Happy early birthday.
And yeah. um, and so yeah, kind of learning the balance. And we're also trying to have like a slower life. We actually just moved into a log cabin a few months ago.
I'm loving all of the natural wood back behind you
Yes.
too. I feel very boring here.
It's funny because this is like one of the only rooms that has drywall on some of the walls, like the interior walls.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, okay, now when we go on vacation, we're going to be like, go to a hotel or something. So we can be like, ooh, drywall.
Yeah.
But yeah, learning like the boundaries and entrepreneurship and all of that it's such an interesting journey because you never know what's going to happen. And I'm really thankful that my husband loves it because before, having a supportive spouse in your business like changes the game. Like when I first started, it was like he had that 9 to 5 mindset and I was learning the entrepreneurship mindset. And so there were a lot of like decisions and stuff that I had to be like, okay, you know what? I obviously there's a mutual respect in a marriage, but I also had a point where I'm like, okay, this is my business though. And like I have to make decisions that I think fit for my business. And then when he dove into having his own business, now we understand each other. Now he's the one that's like, you're paying what, or you're like charging what? You should be charging way more. When before it was like flipped.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, same for me and my wife too. Where she's just like, wait, what are you charging right now? Oh no, you need to up that a little bit. Like
Yeah,
we need to be doing more than that. Like you're worth well more than that. And like now she's like looking at like different like fearless photographer awards and stuff, and she's like, oh, like that won an award. Your work is much better than that. You need to start submitting. Like I'm gonna sign you up. You're gonna start submitting for Fearless. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. Yeah, it's cool.
Spouses that turn into like the biggest like advocates.
People.
It's the best.
I love a good hype person. I try to be them. But yeah, I oh no, I had something that you were just talking about, and then I lost it. Oh no, it'll come back. I'm sure. Fine. But boundaries. Yes. There we go. What are some boundaries that you would recommend for anyone who's just like, the entrepreneurship, like it is very easy for us to just go full throttle, just like, hey, this is working. I'm just going to keep doing this. And just like, we just go. And a lot of us are like Enneagram 3s of just like achiever, and like you hit your goals and then it's just like, cool. I'm moving the line in the sand. We're moving that to another one. I'm on to the next goal before like stopping to celebrate anything. What are some good boundaries that we can set to like slow down and maybe like give a little bit more structure to the entrepreneur life?
Yeah. I also love the Enneagram. I'm a 2-wing 3. So
okay,
I love it.
Nice. I'm a counterphobic 6, wing 7. And I thought I was a 3-wing 2 for a long time until I like learned about counterphobic 6, and I was like, I think I might actually be that.
Yeah.
So I'm still like trying to figure out what that means.
I love it. I love it all.
Have you ever learned something that you feel like you learned way too late in life? I feel like that guy from Instagram who's like, here's something I didn't know until my 30s, because here is something I didn't know until I was in my 30s. Your savings account can actually make you money. And I'm not talking about like traditional savings accounts that are making you like 0.01 to 0.3% interest, just pennies. That's pennies, people. I'm talking 1.5 to over 4% interest. That doesn't sound like much, but if you're talking numbers, let's say you have like $5,000 in your savings account for taxes at the end of the year, that's the difference between accruing $15 and $200 extra dollars. Now, this is a high yield savings account. I've talked about these a few times on the podcast, but now I have partnered with SoFi to bring you a little extra money. Whenever you start your free high yield savings account through SoFi, they will deposit an extra $25 in there for you for free. That's literally free money. And yes, this high yield savings account is just like a normal savings account where you can access your money. You don't have to like wait for 7 to 10 business days until you can get anything out. It's a normal savings account, except you're making more money. So go to allheartphoto.com/SoFi. That's allheartphoto.com/SOFI and let your money make you money.
So I think the biggest thing, regardless of if you're just starting your business, if you've had your business for a while, if you have kids, if you don't have kids, the biggest thing when it comes to boundaries is set office hours. And I don't care if you actually have an office. I don't care if you don't even leave your dining room table. You need to have office hours that you work in so that you can shut your brain off after those office hours are done. And not only having those office hours to work in, but communicating those to your clients. So when I book clients, I send out an expectation email, and I have my own boundaries of I will answer your emails from 8 a.m. or I think I say 9 a.m. 9 a.m. To 3 p.m. And then anything outside of that, like I'll get to the next day. When I didn't set boundaries like that, I was up till like 2 a.m. trying to get stuff done or trying to get stuff done over nap time. And then people with kids know that like that doesn't always go how you want it to go. And so I had set office hours and I communicate that. So in my expectation email, I say those hours. I also will tell them if you need to communicate with me, it's best for me for email. So using my CRM and saying like communicate in this space. Otherwise, I might not see it. If you're going to send me something on social media, like it might get lost. And those can be different for different people too. So like if you are more of a texter, like tell your clients that, but setting those boundaries up front and setting those strict hours really helps avoid burnout, but it also helps you kind of like rest and recoup and then give yourself the permission to kind of take a step away and then come back fresh.
Yeah. And like that also helps remind your clients that you're a business.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just a person, because a lot of us are solopreneurs and we're just like, it is a one person show and we are doing everything. So it kind of seems like, especially in the photography scene, we have our personal brand that people relate with. And they're just like, oh yeah, Alex, let me send her a quick text. And then
Mm-hmm.
like having that boundary of like, you sent me a text at 7 p.m. I am with my family. I will
Yep.
get back to your text at 9 a.m. tomorrow or whenever like your business hours start. That way, because I've done that. I do that too. Because I used to do the same thing where I would have people emailing me at midnight asking questions. I'm like, I need to get back to this right now, or else you're going
Mm-hmm.
to think I'm a terrible person. And like, they're not having a good client experience. And then it was fine.
Exactly.
But like now I'll get emails or I'll get a text and it's like, sorry, it's so late. Not expecting a reply right now, but I wanted to ask
Yep.
you this. I'm like, cool. We're on the
Yep.
same page now. And I don't have that little bit in like the stress in my heart of just like, I need to reply to this right now. I need to stop. I'm cooking dinner. I need to stop it. It'll burn.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. I just need to reply to this text. And it like gives you that freedom to be like, okay, I see that. My brain is still in uh, off work time. My brain is in family time. It's in free time. And
Exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
I got a text over this last weekend, and it said they were asking some question about like a ceremony time, and then at the end it said, "But have a good weekend. Like reply to this later."
yeah,
So it's like they know, and then in your head you're like, "Oh, okay." Like
yeah.
they know, I know. Like, and laying that out from the start is so important.
Yes. Yeah. And it could feel like you're not giving the best client experience because you're like, I want to be there 100% like all the time. Reach out to me whenever. And I do tell my clients like, if we're in like the 1 week to your wedding and like it's an emergency, if I get a text from you at 8 p.m. the Thursday before your wedding, I'm going to reply to it right
Mm-hmm.
then. If I read it and I'm like, this needs to be replied to. But
Right.
like, it's really good for them to have those expectations set, those
Yes.
boundaries set, so that then they don't have the expectation of like, okay, whenever I send a text, it needs to be replied to within 20 minutes because
Right.
maybe that's how they are with their friends. And then, I am not that way. I'll get a text from a friend and like 2 or 3 business days later, I'm like,
Yep.
oh, yeah, that sounds great. I'm
All
like,
my
I'm
friends
so
know that if
sorry.
they text me, I might respond within days.
Yep. If I do, like, I love you guys, but
I
I
mentally
just,
respond. I'm like, "Oh
yes.
yeah, like
Oh, all the time.
sure." And then I realized I didn't actually respond. I'm like,
Yep.
oops.
Yep.
If you need
Voice
to get
to
a hold of me,
text.
call me.
Voice to text has
Like,
been like my savior of just
yes.
like
Yeah,
I can mentally respond and then just like talk to it and then be like, all right, cool. You're gone. We're good.
exactly. Yeah. Another one that I love to do too is like scheduling certain things on certain days. So if I
Mm-hmm,
don't have a
mm-hmm.
wedding, I do not work weekends and I don't work Sundays regardless. And then I will only schedule like consult calls on certain days of the week. And I will only schedule engagement sessions on like Tuesday, Thursday, or Friday nights. So kind of having your own schedule and boundaries too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, boundaries are it's a game changer. Like it feels like it should be constraining, but it gives you so much more freedom to just be like, this is the time. Like I don't remember where that study was or what year it was, but they did a study of just like they gave someone like one group a task and they were like, you have 15 minutes to complete this task. And then they gave someone else a task and they were like, you have 1 hour to complete this task. And each one, like they finished it, but the ones who had the 15 minutes, they finished it within 15 minutes. And the ones who had the 60 minutes, they finished it like just short of 60 minutes because they were like, this is the deadline. I have to finish it by here. And even though like the 15-minute, they did it quicker. They weren't like scrambling. They weren't stressed out. It was just like, okay, I see the deadline. I know that I have X amount of time, like especially as parents who like we're also like my all of my kids are in either school or daycare now, which is great because now I'm not just like that. I have an hour and a half during nap time, maybe uh, to work. It is like I have a good like 4 to 5 hours if I don't eat lunch to work while everyone's out of the house. But I have that 1 o'clock deadline of I need to have everything finished by here. Like
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
not trying to just like I'm not letting things go on and just be like, oh well, you know, whatever. I'll just like jump on TikTok and scroll, or although I do still do that from time to time, but like
Yeah.
you have that those business hours of this is when I have to do stuff, and then it like kicks you into actually getting it accomplished.
Yes, I work so much better under pressure. And I also joke with my couples because I used to work in an emergency room. So I'm like, unless somebody's like on the floor dying, we're fine. Like,
Yeah, yeah. And even so, I can take care of
and
it.
even
It's
and
cool.
even so, like we'll be okay. You'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be all right. Yeah. No, like, do you have any tips for those who are like the mompreneurs, the mom togs, the parents who are like doing this thing where we still have like babies on our hips and piles of laundry and dishes and like still have to do the household stuff too during your like quote unquote work day? Do you have tips for them of just like how to grow the business while you have time constraints?
Yes, so many things to say.
Okay, I
So,
love it.
um, first, run your business in seasons. So, I fully believe in checking in where you're at, like every few months, because as a parent, our kids grow so fast, the routines change so much
Mm-hmm.
that everything comes in seasons. I had the problem of looking at everything in such like absolutes. Like, well, this person on social media is doing this, like I should be doing that too. Like, there's no reason I can't be doing that, but they're in an entirely different season than you are. And it's okay to be like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to take this in pieces. So, right now, for a few months, my, like, say you have a newborn, like, my newborn is a lot more needy for a few months. So, right now, like, these maybe my office hours are like 2 hours a day for like 3 days a week. And maybe my like editing time is a little shorter, and maybe my turnaround time for galleries instead of being like 4 weeks, maybe it's 8. And then in a few months, as your kid grows, maybe has more nap times, maybe you're able to send them to daycare, those you can readjust, reevaluate, and just kind of go in seasons. Like, not everything is going to fall apart. I know as a mom, when you're up all the time and then you feel like you have to like do the dishes and then feed the baby and like do all these things, it just feels like it's just such a weight. And you feel like, okay, there's no way I can grow my business and manage all these things. I'm super stressed. But you don't have to do all the things right now. And there will be a point where you can do all the things. It's
Mm-hmm.
just not right now. So a lot of it is like a mental game, really. And the other thing too is don't be afraid to like mute people on social media. Like if you are
Yes,
looking at those
100%.
like if you're looking at those perfect like the moms who are have their perfect like meals planned out and
Mm-hmm.
everything is beige and everything looks great, like it's okay to like love that person or love what they're doing, but maybe in this time frame and in this season right now seeing that is stressing you out a little bit more, mute it.
Yeah.
Like it's okay. And I can tell you right now, I am running a business with 3 kids. I am paying my bills. My house is not beige. Like I do not have all my meals planned. Like that's just such a small fraction of people. And it's okay. Like it will be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that mute button is it'll change everything for you. Where it's like there are people there are people that I have muted that I love and just like I
Mhm.
really enjoy following along with their family and following their business and what they're doing and all that. But I'm like, in this season right now, this is not helping me.
Exactly.
It's creating too much of the comparison, like toxicity.
Mhm.
And I want to be able to show up and enjoy the reel that you just posted about like you know, redesigning your bathroom or something, but I am showing up and just being like, I wish I could redesign my bathroom.
Yeah.
And like I need to mute that. And I think like at least on Instagram you can like mute for a season or something. Like it gives you
Mhm.
like a time frame of just like mute for like a month. And I'm like, cool, let's do that.
Yep.
See where I am mentally in a month.
Yes.
Because that also changes.
Well, 9
uh,
times out of 10 when we're looking at something like that, it's an us thing. Like it's not a
mm,
them thing. It's a okay, you kind of reflect why is that making me feel a certain way, and it's like, "Oh, it's cuz I wish I could be doing that or I
yeah.
wish I was had that thing." And that's the thing about social media too is also as a mom like or anybody who's in any like busy season, maybe you also have like another like full-time or part-time job, the time that you have to work on your business, you need to be tracking where you're actually getting business from, because I feel like most times for a lot of people it's not social media. But for
Hmm.
some reason that's the biggest thing that people worry about. That's the biggest thing that people spend most of their time on, when in reality you probably don't need to be spending time on it to grow your business.
Yeah.
When I got all of my inquiries and all my weddings booked, they were all from Google. So the amount of time I've spent on social media, I now spend it on there because I want to and because
Yeah.
I want to be on there. It's not like a okay, now I need to figure out what I need to post, etc. And so ditching that has been game changing.
Yeah. And it's just it's so freeing to be on social media now where like I'll just post something because I want to post it. And I'll do a caption that it's not this lengthy thing. It doesn't have a call to action in there. Like it's just like you I did one recently that was just like, hey, this couple's name in black and white film. That was it.
Yeah.
Like it was one of those captions that like as a social media manager I'm like, we don't need to be doing this. This is not helping anyone. This is not bringing in, it's not interesting. But I'm just like, it's social media is not where I get my leads from. It is Google. It's from my blogs. Like that's
Mhm.
where, but like social media is just flashy and it's fun and it's almost like a lottery system of just like, well, if I just if I get that one viral post, if I get a
Mhm.
viral post, if I get a viral reel that just like takes off, then I'm going to have all the leads coming in. And Google just feels like work because it's like I have to like learn SEO, I have to blog, and that takes like mental
Mhm.
bandwidth. And yeah, it is. I think that is really great to see where your leads are coming in.
Yes.
Just regardless, you need to be doing that just to learn about your business, and because you may be spending way too much time pinning stuff to Pinterest and you've never had anyone come through Pinterest, uh, but you have a ton of people in your DMs on Instagram. It's like maybe cultivate that
Right.
a little bit more.
And everybody has, like, I know that there's that saying, like, find your secret sauce or your superpower. Everybody has a different one. And some people do great on social media. And like if they love being on it and that's where they're getting their inquiries from, that's great. But that's not, it's, I think because it's so flashy and because it's so fun, people think that that's how you're supposed to get clients. And there are so many other ways to get clients out there. I have had viral reels. I've had a reel that has 8 million views. I have a reel that has 4 million views. I have other ones that have hundreds of thousands of views. I have had 0 inquiries from them. And I still have like 3,000 followers.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm still booked out. I'm still having to turn people away. And it's not from social media. Like there's just so many different avenues. And I think the pressure that we put on ourselves because of that, it is just too much. And also, if you were to wake up with 10,000 followers tomorrow, how would you serve them? Like just getting a bunch of followers isn't going to help you. If that's not something that you love doing. If you don't love doing it, don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're like, you need to look at your lead nurturing system, and like, if you don't have one set up, if you're just like throwing things out there, hoping that it does something, then if you have 500 followers or you have 50,000 followers, it's it's still going to be like a random, I don't know, maybe this will work. But if you have like a good lead nurturing system of where people are coming in and you're like giving them good information to where they're just like, oh, this is great, I love this, I think I will hire you now, then if you have more followers that come in through uh, a big viral reel or something, then you'll actually be able to serve them,
Right.
and then that can turn into a lot more paying clients. Uh,
Right. I woke up one day on TikTok. I think I had like 1,000 followers. And then like I posted something random and now I have over 12,000 followers. And it's from some random video. And now I'm like, now what? Like, what do I do with that now?
mhm.
Like, just because it wasn't from like my niche of what I was posting. And so now I just am on TikTok for fun. I almost never post too much on there. But it's
Same.
like, yeah.
Yeah. I was doing like only photography things and pretty much just taking my reels and putting them on TikTok, which I know is not like a great strategy, but like I just started doing some fun stuff, and I did one like when I had maybe 300 or 400 followers, and I did one that went semi-viral, like for me, because I was getting like 200 to 300 views, it went to like 500,000 views.
Yeah.
And it was just like this weird one where I put the trickster voice effect over me and my toddler to like understand what she was asking for, and then that just went viral, and
It's
I got a
hilarious.
bunch, a couple thousand followers from that, and no bookings because they
Yeah.
were there because they were like, oh yeah, that was a funny thing,
Yeah.
and I'll follow you because you seem fun. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, now TikTok, I'm just like, I'm not trying to grow and go viral. It's just like, it's a fun thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
I think that is where a lot of us need to be with social media. If it's not your main lead generator, is like, this is a fun place. Maybe Instagram is like a great portfolio where you can like show
Mm-hmm.
maybe not the stuff like the ooh wow kind of things that you'll have on your website that'll bring people in, but more of the like, oh, this was a sweet moment between the bride and her grandmother, and like talk about that a little bit more.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Kind of backpedaling a little bit. I would say my second biggest tip for people who are also dealing with all the like overwhelm or maybe don't have enough time. I also cannot stress enough how important a CRM is and having automations.
Hmm.
As a like mom or anybody who's busy, having an automation like a workflow set up that like I have all mine set up and it does 90% of the work. So when I was on vacation, I ended up getting some emails that were like, "Oh, thank you so much for this. This was so helpful." And I was like, "What did I send?" And then I was like, "Oh yeah, right. Okay, they're at the point in the workflow where they're getting like these resources and this information." And I was like,
Yeah.
"That's really cool. Like I'm working but I'm not."
Hmm. No, I love that. It is the best thing because you can also set all of that up whenever you are in like your best your best Alex, like the best version of
Mm-hmm.
you, to like write those emails, to, put together a guide or whatever. And then it's just like, this is automated to go out 6 months before a wedding or whenever. And then you don't have to be thinking about it. So you can go on vacation, or maybe you're in a season where everything is just kind of slow and you're sluggish and you are just kind of apathetic to everything. I don't know if anyone else feels this, but I do that pretty regularly, where I'm just like, I don't want to do anything. I just want to lay on the couch for at least 12 hours.
Yep.
And like that kind of version of me would not be great to be like, okay, I need to send this out. Hey, here's a guide. Hope you enjoy it. Blah, blah, blah. Here you go. And instead it's like they're getting the high energy, bubbly
Mm-hmm.
John that like took time to write this whole thing, and then it's scheduled. And yeah,
Exactly.
CRMs are they're so worth it. And there are so many different ones out there. They all have really great aspects to them. I know like 10 years ago, there were like certain ones that did certain things very
Yeah.
well. And now they're all like pretty good.
Yeah. They're all trying to like keep up with each other, which is great for all of us because
That's
then
great.
we have
Yeah.
all the things.
Yeah. I love like integrated scheduling in there
Mm-hmm.
now too, where I'm just like, this is great. I don't have to go through a third party to have someone schedule, and then I'll have to manually put this in. It's just all connected.
Yes. It's
And
so nice.
yeah, it's really, really great. And yeah, like those are some things that if you don't have the time, if you're just like, I have an hour and a half to 2 hours a day, maybe, that I can work on the business, and this is all overwhelming. Um, uh, Mark off a few of those days, like you were saying earlier, of like certain days of the week are like designated to certain kinds of work,
Right.
and just pick a Friday or something to where it's like, okay, this Friday I'm spending all of, like, I'm not answering emails, I'm not editing
Mm-hmm.
a single photo. I am going to be, setting up my CRM, or setting up,
Right.
like, I want to get my first 3 email templates done. So now I don't have to physically type every single email. It can be, I get a lead in, and then it's 15 seconds to send it back out instead of, 5 minutes.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Alex, this has been so great. And like so many, I feel like very actionable tips and like strategies and things for people to do without being like super overwhelming of like, all right, you need to do this and this and this.
Yeah.
It's like, you can do this like little baby step,
Oh yeah.
and you can do this little baby step, and like bring those in whenever you can, because like you and I both know, 3 kids, there's a lot going on. And
Exactly. Yep.
yeah, you only have really so much time. And yeah, I just have really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me
Yeah,
here. I'm loving it.
absolutely. Yay. Well, before we kind of wrap up and let people know where they can follow you and all that, we haven't even talked about your podcast yet, but we'll plug that at the end too. So stick around. But like, what is something I like to do, a part of the show where we talk about what we're loving this week, and it can be literally anything: book, TV show, movie, new food, whatever. What are you loving this week?
Yeah, this week, getting back from the vacation refresh, so like I said before, we just moved into a log cabin.
Yeah.
And so we are in the season of getting like our seedlings started for our garden, and I just got my sourdough going, and we're
Nice.
actually about to do a bunch of like renovations on the cabin as well. So we're in like full home renovation, homesteading, because our cabin is also on 4.5 acres. So planning out our homestead and gardening and just kind of that homemaking, all the
Nice.
homemaking things. We're also getting chickens soon and pigs. So
Ooh, cool. Very nice. I was going to ask if y'all had goats, with
not
the
yet.
acreage. Okay.
Yeah, we did just
Yeah.
get a puppy like a month ago that was barking
Nice.
earlier, but it's a
Who
Great
made their
Pyrenees.
cameo in the yeah.
Yeah, so she's gonna be pretty big.
Nice. That's cool. Yeah, I grew up like my middle school through high school time was on, like, we bought this old farmhouse, and it had about 4.5, 5 acres, and we had a ton of goats. They just kind of came
Love
with the
it.
property too, so we were just like, I guess we have goats now.
I guess these are our goats now.
Yeah, like we had moved from the city, and this was our first taste of like country living, and we're like, okay, cool, we have a dozen goats,
I
and
love
we'll
that.
figure that out. But yeah, they're fun, except they'll just eat everything
Oh yeah.
and
My
anything.
in-laws live just like 10 minutes down the road. They also have an acreage and they have goats. I think we'll probably opt for a cow, but
Yeah, that's probably better. They're not going to come over and eat your shoelaces while you're just standing in the backyard.
right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. Well, awesome. I love that. I we're getting like we're renting a house like in the city right now, but we have like our own little like we my wife keeps saying like she's like 4% homesteader or like 8% homesteader of just like these little things of like we make our own butter now,
yes.
and and like buttermilk, and we're doing these things and like trying to have uh like a little potted garden in the
Yeah.
backyard, since we can't like we're renting, we can't just dig up the yard and do all that. It's like we're like slowly getting a little homesteader-ish.
Yeah. Do you guys do
um
sourdough?
we haven't.
I feel like sourdough
We
is like the gateway drug of homesteading.
It really is. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like anyone that I follow on Instagram who like they were like, oh, my friend gave me this sourdough starter, and then like 6 months later they're making their own clothes, and they're
Yep.
just like, oh yeah, we planted this thing and I'm making a greenhouse out of our garage. I'm like, okay,
Yes.
cool.
Yep. All my
Yeah.
friends are like, "Oh yeah, okay, little house on the prairie." Like
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah. No, I don't really understand sourdough yet. Of just like where you take this and then it like grows, and I don't understand. Like, how is your sourdough like 120 years old? This doesn't sound
it
safe.
doesn't die. Like you can
Yeah.
leave it
Yes.
forever and it's just there. It's
Yeah.
wild.
It is wild. Maybe we'll do that. We're getting into baking more. Like my wife over the last probably 3 years has done a ton of different recipes to find and like tweaking them to find like the perfect banana bread recipe.
Mm,
And now it's like every week she makes a few loaves and like we'll give them to friends, and I had that for breakfast this morning and it was delicious.
banana bread is the
uh,
best.
yeah. Okay, what let's see, what am I loving this week? I'm loving a TikToker, and she's also on Instagram. Reb Maisel.
Okay.
She's an attorney. She like will the way that I found her was through this thing where she like goes through court transcripts that are just like wild things that people said, and she will just read them, and it's just really funny. She's done like 40 or 50 different versions of that. I think she recently put one out on YouTube that's just like 3 hours straight of like all of
Oh
them
my
compiled
gosh.
together. But it's just really fun, and she's an attorney. She also has a podcast where she like talks about different things, so she's been like talking about like the airplanes and like stuff that's been happening, of just like, okay, so let's look at this from like a lawyer perspective and like these kind of different things. But she's very funny, and it's a good deal. Every few days or so my wife and I will just like sit down and I'll be like, okay, what good videos do you have saved for me? And then she'll be like, okay, pull up Reb. What does Reb have? We have a few of our people that she's just like, did Chris post anything new? I'm like, let me see. And like, we'll
That
just
is
go through
so
those.
awesome. I love it. I'll
Um,
definitely have to listen to her stuff.
yes. Yeah. It was very fun. But yeah. Okay. Well, where can people listen to your stuff? Where can
Yes.
they find you and follow along and all that?
Yeah, so my Instagram for like my personal photography and all of that is Alex McCrary Photography. Last name's a little bit of a tongue twister, but and then I also have a podcast with one of my best photography friends, and it is called Cameras and Car Seats, and it is for mom photographers, and we talk about all the things that I kind of touched on a little bit here today. So a ton about like balance and running a business as a mom and like loneliness in the industry, just all of that. So we definitely have a bunch of like fun videos or episodes over there and some like free resources and stuff for you on our website as well, which is just camerasandcarseats.com.
Awesome. Yeah. And I love y'all's dynamic too of just like it feels like two moms just chatting. And it's like very laid back, very fun, very like just in the conversation with you.
I love
So
that. Yeah, the
yeah.
one thing we learned is when we first started podcasting, we kind of had like bullet points and outlines. We're like, okay, like we'll keep it conversational, but we'll talk about these things. And we tried it for like one or two. And then now when we get together for podcast days, we literally will sit down and be like, what should we talk about? And like
Yeah.
figure out what to talk about, be like loneliness. Like we'll take one word and then our entire podcast is like
Yeah.
just us talking about it. We no prep. It's just
Mm-hmm.
real. It's honest.
Yep. No, that's what I love too. Like I sent over like some guiding questions for our talk today, and then I didn't even pull up any of
Yeah.
them because I was like, sometimes we have to. Sometimes I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
like there we don't really have like little tangents that we can go down and just like have that like really really natural conversation. But yeah, like for us, I was like, I did pull them up once, and I was like, oh yeah, we already talked about these. Okay, cool, yeah. But we're just gonna keep going. This is
Perk of
great.
being yappers. It's totally fine.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, well, I will have all of that linked in the show notes too. So everyone go follow Alex, go check out the podcast,
Yeah.
and yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the show and for yapping with me today. It was a lot of fun.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Wisdom and the Tangents podcast. As always, you can check out all the things in the show notes at podcast.allheartphoto.com. I've got a ton of free resources over there for you, and pretty much like all of our affiliate links and sponsors for the show are on one page. So you can just go over to podcast.allheartphoto.com/resources and get a bunch of free downloads and some free trials as well. I'd love to connect with you more on Instagram. The show is at wit.pod. That's WITT.pod. Alex is at Alex McCrary Photography on Instagram, and all of this will be linked in the show notes too, so you can just scroll on down, click over, say hi. We love it whenever people say hi. And until next time, I guess enjoy Alex's podcast. Enjoy Alex's podcast until next week for another one of ours. Okay, I'm losing the thread. We're going. Goodbye. See you later. Thanks for listening.